Hello and welcome to my podcast. And today I wanted to talk about inner child healing. I often feel that inner child healing is a very important step in self-love. And not just self-love, but in all areas of life. Oftentimes we forget that when we fully loved ourselves without any filter, it was when we were a child, before we learned that we should be judging ourselves and our bodies, before bullying, before people's, comments that we didn't really need. Before all of those things, there was this beautiful inner child. Well, back then we were children, but beautiful children who just loved the world, loved being alive, and just wanted to experience every second of it. I remember being a child and being fully immersed and in love with the idea of plants. Just any plant. I loved gardening. I loved taking care of plants. I loved the smell of the soil. I loved all the insects and I had no fear. And I remember my mother nurtured this. She saw how much I love plants. She saw how much I just loved being in the dirt. And she had her own little garden. And she would let me be in this garden and help her with her garden. And it was such a beautiful moment and a cherished memory of mine. And when I was a kid and I was, in school, before I was being bullied, before I was being taught, to dislike myself, I remember my favorite time of the day was going outside and taking care of our garden. It was such a beautiful thing. And I remember thinking, oh, I'm going to spend the rest of my life taking care of my garden. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And then shortly after that, I did go into foster care. And I started hearing all these things that I never knew. I started hearing people critique my body, a child's body. I started having peers critique my body, my hair. I'd watch shows and movies and ads that would target what should be what they call my insecurities. And I was a child at the time. I didn't understand that I was supposed to have these insecurities because that's what society expects of me. But eventually I took on these insecurities, these fears. I stopped loving the smell of dirt. I stopped loving gardening. I just stopped loving everything that I cherished and still cherish. So when it comes to inner child healing, you're not only undoing everything society has taught you, but you're also undoing everything your parents, your peers, and your friends have taught you, and what you have believed or taken upon yourself to do. It can be as small as believing that because you're an adult now, you don't get to enjoy life. That's incorrect. Anyone at any age can enjoy their lives. There's people even still around me who think I'm absolutely crazy because I just wish to enjoy my life. And that's okay with me. Because as an adult, my life isn't to become a worker for the workforce and just have no more life, no more reason to live. That isn't true. There are thousands of people, millions of people around the world showing me that isn't true. Now, while I haven't had the chance to talk to most of those millions of people, just seeing them gives me hope that I can enjoy my life. And so as I started inner child healing, I started with the beliefs I had about myself. I started with the ones that I felt were the most detrimental to me. And those were the thoughts surrounding my body and my happiness. I am a beautiful woman, but I didn't always feel that way. There were many times where I thought my hair was too curly and nappy. I thought that I was too thin and disgusting. I thought that my legs were too long, my arms were too long. There was nothing right about me. And then I found people who would stare at me and be like, wow, you're so beautiful. And I'd be like, no, you're wrong. I'm not beautiful at all. And they would argue with me. And I would just tell them, no, you're wrong. I'm hideous. And then, as I started inner child healing, I noticed that those were thoughts and words told to me. They were not things I had picked up. When I was a kid, I thought I was the most beautiful little diva to ever exist. And then as I grew up and I started taking in more and more from the people around me and the social media around me, just the media in general around me, I started believing I was hideous. I wasn't perfect. Now, while it did take time, took many years in fact, I continued to tell myself how beautiful I was. I started with one thing that I felt was so beautiful about me, and that was my eyes. So every day I would tell myself, I love my eyes. They're so beautiful. And then I would look at my legs, which I used to hate, and say, I love my legs. They're so beautiful. And I would go to different parts of my body until I can get to the point where my entire body was beautiful and perfect. And that's exactly how I felt. And when it came to the beliefs I had, I started small. And while for every single person, this path is going to be different, for me, it started with positive affirmations. I started thinking the thoughts I would think an older version of me would think. I started with thoughts like, I love myself. I'm there for myself. I trust myself. I'm a trustworthy person. I can do anything. I am so amazing. Now, I can say all those things now and truly mean them. But in the beginning of my journey of undoing all the things I had learned, it was a lot of baby steps. There were days that I would look at myself in the mirror and tear myself down. And then there were days where I would look at myself in the mirror and see all the beauty that I am. And now I can't help but look at myself in the mirror and see all the beauty I am. Sometimes I stare in the mirror for longer than I think I should. But it is such a big step, a big relief, a big jump to go from where I was to where I am now. I remember the first time I decided to start inner child healing. At the time, I was 21. But back then, I didn't know it was called inner child healing. I just wanted to feel better about myself. And I would say things and do things that I felt would make me happy. And being 26-year-old now, turning 27, I realized that 21-year-old me, while she had no idea what she was doing, she was creating a reality where I could be happy, where I could feel good about myself, where I could love myself. And I owe it to her to continue to love myself, to continue to be there for myself. So whether you are just beginning this journey of inner child healing, or maybe you're further down the path, or maybe you have no idea what I'm talking about, either way, know you are doing absolutely amazing. Everything is happening just as it should, even if it's harsh and unbearable. because we cannot learn until we make those mistakes. We undervalue our mistakes in life, but oftentimes they are our greatest gifts. So as you make a mistake today, whether it's 1 or 100, be proud of yourself. You've made a mistake and you've learned from it. And even if you think you haven't learned from it, trust me, you have. And you're doing amazing. Have an amazing day, because it is a beautiful day. Thank you for listening.